Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to demonstrate you how we can send defect updates from ServiceNow to Jira. Let's assume we have an integration between Jira's defect module like production defect and ServiceNow's defect module, which is part of Agile. Uh, and then the defect is created and we need to send some updates from ServiceNow to Jira. More of a bidirectional sync. Something comes from Jira to ServiceNow when it is updated, and when those fields are updated in ServiceNow, we need to send them back to Jira as well. So let's create a flow because we have several actions available as part of the Jira Spoke application, and we'll try to use those actions. So I'm giving it a name, some defect updates, and let's see additional properties. I'm going to run it as system user. Let's try to build the flow. So the defect flow would be more like created or updated, and I'm going to select the defect table im_defect, and I need to give one condition that says external ID is not empty. So I'm using a field called external ID which stores the ID of Jira's defect, and that field should not be empty if I am sending something to Jira. So let's make it for every unique change. I think the best would be for every update. And I want to run this only for user interactive session, because let's say Jira ticket was updated by a user for short description or maybe for description. Now that information came to ServiceNow and basically they both were synced. Now I don't want to trigger my flow based on the update that came from Jira, because the update that came from Jira mostly would be a non-interactive session. So I want to run this flow only for interactive session. Now, done. And we have a field called update issue, and I can simply pull the external ID into the issue ID, and then I need to provide the fields which I have to update in Jira. Now the problem is I cannot simply select the fields directly over here. This is how it works. So to be able to populate the fields over here, I need to use a different spoke called utility actions spoke, which has some of the actions available, and that can be used over here. So I've already installed the utility actions spoke in my instance, and I'm going to use a functionality called encoded query. So within this encoded query, I need to pass the fields which I need to update. For example, I need to update the short description. So short description is known as summary in Jira, and the value would be the short description of ServiceNow. And let's say I also want to update the description. Let's find the description from the defect record. Okay, now I have my encoded query, and I can simply pass that encoded query in this additional fields. So this is how I can simply send my updates to Jira. The only thing that I need to do here is for additional steps that I would say, I can simply add, let's say this encoded query fails, I can simply add if else condition and post the error in the defect itself, work notes. And if there's an error in the update issue, I can also post that within my defect in the work notes itself. So let's try how this works by saving and activating this flow. Okay, so I have activated the flow and I've also added the steps just to save time. In the backend, I've added all the steps which I was referring to, uh, basically adding notes when there's a failure and so on. So if there's an error in the encoded query, I am adding that error message to the defect record in the work notes. And if there's an error in the update issue action, I'm again adding that error message in the defect record. So let's see how this works. I have already created a defect in the instance, and this is the same defect in Jira here, test underscore demo one. So let's try to update the short description and description in ServiceNow, and let's see if it cascades the same value to the Jira production defect as well or not. So you can see short description is updated, and let's see if the description was updated. Yes, test underscore DEAC underscore demo. Let's do one more quick test. Let's make it demo 2. Now I'm back to Jira. So the value is now updated to 2. Thank you so much.